Hi, so you're going to be making a photo frame with 3 pieces of plywood. This is your cutting list. 19 centimeters along the top by 14 along the bottom. So you're going to measure, mark and cut 3 pieces, which you're then going to get together like this and be clamped to form your photo frame. So this is what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to achieve a photo frame. So I'm going to try and draw an exploded drawing. I'm just going to go over this with a Sharpie so you can see the lines. Now remember, all materials have a thickness. So you're trying to show that thickness when you're doing drawing work. Okay, so that gives you a quick impression of what you're trying to do. Then you're going to put glue in some of these places here and on the other side, and you're going to squash them together. So all of these will then be clamped together and form a solid piece of wood. So we have our 3 pieces of plywood here. That's going to make our photo frame. First thing you need to do is to sand the edges so you don't get any splinters. Don't sand too much, just enough to clean the edges. Once you've done all 3, then we're going to measure it, mark it and cut it. Then we will sand it again, glue it together, and then we will do some finishing techniques on it so it looks like a photo frame. So when you start marking out, you're going to need a few things. Obviously a ruler, you've got centimeters and inches, and a tri-square. First thing we're going to do is we're going to find the middle. So to find the middle of a rectangle, you just go to corner, and then corner to corner. Using our tri-square, we will then mark make sure that you hold the tri-square on the edge here. This not only gives us the center, it gives us exact verticals from a center point. So we can mark out everything now using those simple marking techniques. A standard photo is 6 inches by 4 inches. Draw in the size of a picture. Got 0, 3, 6. Put marks, and then the other way. You could use your tri-square. You can line it up and you can draw a line. Or if you want to do things a bit speedier, put your finger against the edge of the wood, clamp the pencil, and then just slide your finger along. This is why you sanded it, so you do not get splinters. Let's just double check that. That's 6 by 4. Okay, so we need to be able to get the photo into the top. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend this line so it comes out, and then we're going to cut. So using the scroll saw, make sure it's on fast speed, turn it on, and then hold it down, and then cut out the shape. So we're going to make the finger slot for the back, then we'll cut the window for the frame, for the photo. So I'm just going to find the middle so it looks neat. The photo's going to go in here, and I have a slot to bring it out on the back. So I'm just going to use a template for circle. I could use anything. I could use like a sellotape or anything. It's just where the finger hole is going to be. So that will allow me to take the photo in and out. So the top and the bottom needs to be 2 centimeters, and the sides needs to be 2.5. So we'll just mark 2.5. So you can use your tri-square to mark this out, or just use your finger. And the photo shouldn't fall out, so you can see it's slightly bigger. The photo is slightly bigger than the hole. You can make this hole with the frame shape into scallops or zigzags or however you like. I'm just going to keep it like this. You can decorate, you can cut the shapes however you please. What we need to do is we need to drill a hole in a corner so we can put the blade through, and then we'll be able to cut. Okay, so we've marked the hole and we're just going to drill it so we can put the blade through. So we're going to put the blade through the hole and remove this. So we loosen this, hold this down. We need to cut the finger hole out. Okay, so there we have our 3 pieces that we need. The back, the U-shape, and the front. Now if your photo doesn't quite fit in, then you're just going to need to remove some pieces to allow it. Use the rough sandpaper until the picture fits in. When you're happy with the fit, then we can give everything a final sand, and then we're going to glue it together. Okay, we're going to glue it together now. We don't need too much glue, but we need enough to hold it. Remember which is your best sides. So you're going to line this up. So we don't really want glue on the inside, but the outside doesn't matter so much. And then we're just going to clamp it together. I'm going to put one more in here to hold this together, and then any excess glue that comes out, just get a paper tissue. I'm just going to clean this. If you clean it now, then there's less to do afterwards. Okay, so this needs to now be left for 24 hours to dry. So this is the frame finished, and I've just sanded the edges to make it smoother. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply some paint. If you want to stick any decorations on it, on the front, made out of wood, then you need to do it before you paint it. Okay, so I want to make a decoration on the top before I paint it, and I need to make it and glue it on before I paint it. So I'm going to mark where the top and the bottom is. I'm just going to go over in a Sharpie so you can see what I've done. Okay, so here is the finished piece. So I'm just going to give that a sand. I'm going to apply glue to the bits that are going to touch. So we're just going to leave this to dry for a few hours, and then I'll show you how to paint it. So we've sanded all of the pieces of our design that we're going to paint, and we're going to add a little bit of white paint, and we're going to start by painting the frame white, so we can then colour it afterwards. You can see how much paint I've got in the palette for the whole thing. And I've put this piece of paper in so I don't get paint on the inside and it looks messy. So do the edges carefully. Do the edges first, and then you can just carefully, you want to try and fill in all the grain on the plywood, but you don't want too much paint on there. So you can see I'm doing the edges. This is why this bit of paper is good. It'll stop the inside getting too messy. So this is really like a sanding sealer. It seals the surface of the wood. So try and use the tip of your brush and actually poke the paint into the edges. Remember, you do not want too much. You can see how much I'm actually using, not a lot. So what you're trying to do is to drag the paint across the surface so there are no lumps and it's as even as possible. Ideally, you go all in the same direction. Okay, so when that's dry, that is your blank canvas for you to paint and finish off your photo frame as you would like to. Okay, I'm just checking the edges that there's no lumps of paint left lying around. Okay, so there you go, that's done. So you can see from a little squeeze of paint, I managed to get the whole block covered. Not thick, do thin layers. Better to do several thin layers than one thick one. Leave this to dry and then we can finish it off next time. Please wash your brushes after you have used them. They are not disposable. Thank you for washing your brushes and putting them away.